Hello, English 221 classes. This is your short video on revising Essay 3. A couple reminders to start. One is that we have lots of stuff related to Essay 3 in the Essay 3 2100 module. Your Power Notes download from a couple weeks ago. Your tentative outline, maybe you'll revise that, sample writing, the logic of predicting the future. So make sure you've done all these things and you can check it out. You can also look at the readings list and see what you might have missed there. Another module I want to remind you about is the one called Citations. And we have a video on citations right here. We have what goes in parentheses, which is probably the most everyday thing about doing citations, how to make the works cited page. So review this as needed, although I noticed in the rough drafts I read that most people are doing correct citations now, so that's good. All right, I'm going to switch to the assignment to start. So I read the rough drafts for the Tuesday-Thursday class, and overall, I was really pleased. I really like the storytelling. I like the imagination that you show in imagining your descendant in 2100. And I think overall the paper is going really well. And so I look forward to a lot of good final drafts. A reminder that you should reread all of this as part of your revising and make sure that you've thought about all these things. Think about what you want to ask me about in office hour or in your conference. And as I said, the rough drafts that I read look really good, and I feel really positive about everybody's progress on this essay. What I'm going to show you now is the usual 4 steps for revising handout for Essay 3. So you remember this handout from the other essays. Read and think more, get smarter, learn new things. Step 2, clarify your overall argument. Improve your focus and organization. Step 3, beef up the argument. Get longer. And step 4, cleanup time. Proofreading, grammar, getting your citations correct, and all that stuff. So, as you remember from before, revising an essay takes a long time. It's a whole week of homework. So make sure to plan your time well, and so that you can really improve your paper. Okay, so a few notes I have for you. Under the category of revising step 1, read and think more, the research assignment in the week 15 assignments is really important. This is your chance to be unique and original. It's your chance to find some information that nobody else found. So I look forward to seeing what you find, and it's a way to make your paper unique. As for research, one thought I have for you is to find the very best evidence you can for a particular topic. For example, this is usually considered the most authoritative source for on climate change. And you can go to that link and check it out. It's the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change from the UN. And they're considered the authority in many or other sources about climate change are kind of referring back to that one. So I recommend checking out that website if you're writing about climate change, which many people are. In contrast, if all you do is cite Blitz on climate change, well, Blitz is writing for Popular Mechanics magazine, and so Blitz is not really an authority on climate change, and Blitz is just citing other people. So you want to go to the as close as you can to the original source, even though I realize that we're not climate scientists ourselves. So, but if you're a science major, you should learn to find those original scientific sources. Another thing I suggest in this one, you can check out these links, is to try researching the future of a particular place. So for example, you can find projections of sea level rise and how it'll affect Pittsburgh, California. They even have maps where you can set the sea level rise at 3 feet or 6 feet and see. You might even be able to pinpoint your family's house or apartment where you live and find out what's projected for that spot. So try doing local research. For other people, like if your descendant is living in Greenland, then do some research on Greenland, find out more about it. And again, this is another way to make your paper unique and to give some more detailed information to support your prediction of 2100. So, other things, you might revisit some of the articles you read, make sure see if there's more detail you want to pull out of them. You might also browse the reading list in Canvas, because not everything in the list was required. So browse it and see if there's something you want to check out. Anyway, that's revising step 1, read and think more. Revising step 2, clarify your overall argument, improve your focus and organization. So here's a note about the introduction. The main purpose of the introduction is to establish focus on 2100 and your descendants. So again, we have that theme of establishing focus, which I think for some papers is even more important than a thesis. The thesis, then, is your one-sentence summary of your descendant's life in 2100. And in the rough drafts that I looked at, the introductions looked pretty good. I was happy with them for the most part. Organizing a long paper. Make sure you've watched the video in week 14 class. Some people still need to divide long body paragraphs. And you might use power notes to play around with topics. You might try making your topics more specific. So instead of one big topic for climate change, you could have a topic for sea level rise and a topic for wildfires. So you're getting the parts of your essay more specific and more exact. And so that's one way possibly to improve your organization. My last note under clarify your thinking. If climate change has altered the world, don't write like everyone's fine. Think through the implications. So what I notice is that people, of course, you want your descendant to be okay. No one's written a paper where your descendant is starving to death or dead. So you want your descendant to be okay. But if you're predicting 6 feet of sea level rise, then not everyone in the world is going to be okay. If you're predicting really big temperature rises, then there's going to be a lot of suffering in the world. So I know you want to be positive about the future for your family, and that makes sense. But definitely think through the implications, because some people describe their descendant as having a great life, but based on the information you're giving, not everyone is having a great life, and it's people are dying in heat waves and things like that. So definitely think about that, and you might try adding something about people who are far away, who are not doing as well as your grandchild. Part 3, beef up. I won't say too much here. A lot of people could use more detailed information from the articles you read. And then some people could expand the personal story of your descendant. It kind of depends on your paper. I think this one is more common in the drafts I read, is that you need more detail from your sources. However, I was I was pleased that a lot of people were using and citing, 5 different sources, even in the rough draft phase. So again, I was happy with the rough drafts I saw, and I feel like people are doing well. Cleanup time, proofreading, grammar, citations, etc. So my first bullet point here, what are your habitual proofreading errors? Look at the comments you got on all 3 rough drafts this semester. What do you notice? Do you have bad habits like comma splices or missing apostrophes that you want to finally overcome, God damn it? This is the time. Might be the last English course, the last paper for English you ever write. So if you've been dogged by fragments or spelling errors or whatever it is, I want you to push to overcome those things. And that means you have to look at your old rough drafts and not just the comments on your new rough draft. You really have to analyze yourself to figure out what your bad habits are and try to go get over them. Okay. Same with citations. By the end of English 221, your goal is no errors in your in-text citations and the works cited. Look at your old rough drafts to make sure you don't repeat past mistakes. And I do see that sometimes, like if you have the habit of putting your citation inside the quotation marks, it's hard to get rid of habits like that. So you really have to look at your old papers and see where you are and see what problems you still have and what problems you've managed to get past. All right, so that is all I have to say about the 4 steps. Of course, even more important than this document is the comments that you get. So the feedback you get is the most important thing because everybody's paper is different. I'm going to go back to Canvas for a moment. And I want to go to the office hour and syllabus module and remind you that there is lots of help you can get. You can get help online from the Center for Academic Support. You can use, let's go back up. You can click on NetTutor and get more help that way. And the one thing I added just today is that there's a study slam on May 15. And so if you click on that, it's an online study slam. Usually it's in the Center for Academic Support and there's pizza and stuff, but it's online this time. And you can get more feedback without making an appointment on Friday, May 15, which is our second to last week of class, and the final draft is due the week after. Okay, so I will not talk at you anymore. I hope that you feel like you're getting a lot of support for writing good essay, and be in touch with me for your questions.